soul mirror where we reflect the real, the raw, and the resilient. I'm your host, Shreya. Tonight we are joined by Helen and Beth, mental health advocate, counselor, and co author of Sticky Note Mantras. Along with her co author, Beth, Helen turned sticky notes into sacred reminders, offering practical tools to navigate anxiety, spiraling thoughts, and everyday overwhelm, one mantra at a time. So let's dive into the sticky truth. So, welcome, Beth and Helen. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Thank you for having us. Well, I think you put it very well that they are little tiny reminders that turn into a big shift in how you think, since doing things over and over, like just keeping the momentum going, is huge. Things are done in a series of tiny steps, and that applies to your brain too. We can shift it by giving it different messages.
Yes, definitely. And Helen and Beth, your book is such a fresh take. Like, why sticky notes?
Right. Well, we use sticky notes because they're fun, easy, portable, cheap, and like as your mantras can evolve and change, and we need them for different times. And you might even just have hear a song lyric or a quote and inspire you. So write down and you stick it up wherever you need to kind of be reminded. And the other piece of that was a lot of times our clients were leaving, and we had a game plan of things we wanted to kind of work on a change, but it would just dissipate as soon as they left the office. So we were kind of taking these sticky notes and putting their mantras or what we need them to do and sticking it onto the client as they walked out. So hopefully this stuff would kind of giving that visual image of sticking it as you leave, and then having the sticky note that they could refer to as the cue to remind them of what they're supposed to be working on.
Yeah, it's funny how so many times you have a therapy session and everything goes really well and you have a plan, and then they leave and they go back to doing the same shit. The brain goes back to the neural pathway that's the strongest. So challenging those thoughts, it really is a daily occurrence. It's not just once every month. You have to make it a practice, and these little nuggets of wisdom help you shift that.
Yes, that's so true. And thank you for sharing this with us. And was there a specific sticky note or mantra that started it all?
There's so many. They've evolved. I started using them when I was a child. I had really bad OCD, very incapacitating, and I learned that wasn't me. That was my OCD, and that was brain glitch, false message. All those things turned into mantras like, "Oh, don't have to pay attention to that one. That's OCD." Things like that really helped me rewire my brain, and I'm not plagued by OCD anymore. I might have tendencies, but it does not. It's a miserable thing to have. And I actually work with clients now that have OCD, and we use mantras.
Yeah, and mine can go way back. I mean, I can remember learning about Robert Frost and the road less taken, famous poem of his. And you keeping that little nugget, and that was like third or fourth grade. So I mean I've been holding on to these little, I didn't realize they were mantras. That's not what I just called them, like inspirational sayings or quotes, and I have them all in books and on my wall. But when I met Helene in graduate school, we kind of bonded over each having these little sayings. She's like, those are mantras, and I was like, mantras, it's such a great word to describe what we're doing, and it's kind of stuck since then.
Yes, that is so beautiful. And sometimes I think healing doesn't need a journal or a retreat. It just needs a nudge on your mirror. And what inspired you to write about them instead of keeping them private?
Good question. I think we were writing about using mantras because we were both trained as therapists, and we knew this work that kind of falls under cognitive behavioral therapy and ACT therapy. Um, but I think when we were writing, Helene was actually the brave one first to kind of go in and tell her stories. That was not where I was at in the beginning because yeah, we had to be a little bit vulnerable and share some of our struggles, but we've done the work. And um, so I think we talk about that a lot. That was probably the hardest part to write in the book was our personal stories, and what did we edit out? What did we keep in? How vulnerable could we be? But it worked out perfectly. I think it was really an important part of the book.
Yeah, I do get feedback from people saying, "Wow, I'm glad you shared," and that story and it really touched me. So I think it was important for us to let them know that we didn't write this book from some Zen mountaintop, right? It was born of our own struggles and our. We know that it's very dear to us because we know they work and they're used in our life too.
Yes, that is so wonderful. And did sharing them publicly change your relationship with those experiences?
Well, it normalized it, I guess. But I think, like I mentioned, we had done the work a little bit before. As therapists, you kind of have to do that, right? Go through and clear out your stuff so you don't get activated when working with clients. But yeah, I think it was a hard part. Kind of revisiting some of those tougher times in our lives. But I don't know if it changed it. I think working on this book changed us because it really reinforced how well mantras work. This book took a long time and life kind of got in the way. But even as we kind of dug into the nitty gritty this last year and a half, it really helped me when we could just talk about mantras and share the different mantras. And I realized just how much, like, holy cow, this stuff really does work. Like, it's putting my brain into a different state. It's not staying in that negative state. It's cueing me to get, out and move into a different space. So yeah, I think in that way it changed me.
I totally it was a big inspiration. Every day I couldn't wait to work on the book and think about mantras I've used with people or mantras that the science behind it, the research, and pull in all different things because we really covered all of the basic mental health topics by using mantras. And of course you can make up one any type of issue that you have, but we wrote about self-compassion and gratitude and breathing and forgiveness and all those big components, and we delved into them, and we also made some exercises that you can do to not just the mantras to support, and of course all those basic building blocks of mental health. Those really help to look at the different areas, like, okay, this is we put them in categories like um, mantras for courage or for inspiration, and then mantras for self-care. So I think just really learning and researching how much they work was really inspiring, and it was fun.
Yeah, there is so much power in naming the hard stuff, and even more power in laughing through it. And also, like, your book blends humor with healing. Why do you think fun is often left out of the wellness conversation?
It's a great question. And I do think it's left out. I think it's, humor in its nature isn't taken very seriously, but it's crazy. There's tons of research on how healing humor is. And that's one of the, our mantras. The humor is healing. And not at a physical level. Like when we laugh, we bond with others. Oxytocin is released as our cuddle hormone and bonding hormone. Good neurochemicals get flushed. We're vibrating our vagus nerve, which kind of, relaxes us into that nice parasympathetic state. Um, but yeah, I think it's probably hard to research and hard to study, but there is some good research out there that shows it does work. And I think people have a hard time maybe wrapping their mind around the fact that, like, when I'm going through this really hard stuff, how could I laugh? And I was like, well, that's why you would laugh, right? It is exactly why
Right.
you would laugh. And so finding that way to infuse humor, and we talk a lot, first responders do this great, policemen, firemen, nurses, doctors, they find that humor in a really difficult situation because that helps them get through it. It makes something that's really hard just a little bit more manageable and lighter. So we talk about, Helene and I, we do humor very well is what we
You
do. We
do.
talk about it as one of our main coping strategies. Um, and it can really work even in sessions when we're clients and we're getting really I can see this client going down this kind of negative pathway and ruminating. A little levity, a little bit of humor can pull them back a little bit to help them refocus and kind of get out of that downward spiral. So it's amazing. I wish we used it more. I think we could start writing that out on the RX pad for doctors and therapists of exercise and laughter. If you can infuse those two things, you're going to make a big difference.
Definitely. I was just looking up our humor is healing mantra chapter in the book, and it really says there's scientific proof that laughing your ass off is really good for you. Of course, we know, laughter feels good, but the immediate and extended benefits are plentiful. It stimulates major organs, makes the feel good endorphins, soothes tension. And it just helps your overall mood, relieves pain, improves relationships, reduces cortisol, that stress hormone. So I think that mental health is I, taking a little bit of notice. There's the International Society for Humor Studies, and there's laughter yoga is throughout the whole um, globe. I think he's in many states now and countries, and he's very that something like that is just easy to do, right? It's just laughing for no reason, but it stimulates that same response. But more often than not, it diffuses your thoughts with you if you're thinking.
Can joy be part of the recovery process even in the heavy moments?
It's when it's needed most, right? Like we talk about cultivating joy, and one of my personal examples is like I used to go to work that I didn't enjoy, a job that I would be there every day, 8 to 5, and I thought, how am I going to navigate this? And I made it a point to purposely create joy at the beginning of my day. So I did this by finding funny memes to send to my coworkers and bringing in some music and singing songs and kind of getting up and dancing at my desk, whatever it was. But I you really can cultivate those little moments of joy that make everything feel a little bit lighter and more doable and manageable. So um again, I think we get in this spot where like everything is really negative and heavy, and our body and brain is path of least resistance. They're always going to take the easy way out. The harder thing is to cultivate that joy and do these other things, but that's what's most needed. And so I'm always reminding clients like, man, if that feels really heavy and hard, do it like that. We want you to face it and embrace that, because you build up the stress tolerance. You're going to learn resiliency. You're going to learn that you can do these hard things, which another of our mantras. But and that includes being purposeful about cultivating joy in your day.
Yes, that is so beautiful. And like something like giggle can be a part of our healing that is so accessible and so beautiful to know. And also, what mantra has helped you the most through anxiety or an OCD spiral?
Um, but I think just we were talking about this recently, just actually naming it and saying like that's my anxiety brain, that's my OCD. Um, I don't need to identify with that. It's just a different part of me, but really like the name it to tame it mantra, um, it really makes a big difference when you just recognize what it is and what your brain is doing. And it's usually trying to protect yourself, but not needed. It's not, even though you feel like it's an emergency when something bothers you or triggers you, you get those same chemicals, but it's not, it's just discomfort. So that's another one. This is uncomfortable but not dangerous, especially for people with panic attacks. They get in the mode of like a lot of somatic symptoms as well, and knowing, oh, I know what's going on is the first step. So that's my anxiety, that's my panic. I'm going to do what I need to do to help myself.
And I think they change too, right? Sometimes we're like, ride the wave. So if we know we're getting into a panic attack or, high anxiety and there's no backing out, okay, well, we're going to ride the wave. I'm going to recognize that no panic attack has ever killed anybody or this high anxiety. So I've just got to kind of learn to ride it out and be mindful and present. And sometimes it's like, girl, get your shit together, move on. Like, right. It could be more of like a hard coach who's moving you through. And sometimes you need more self-compassionate, like, man, today I'm not at my best and the anxiety is getting the better of me, and that's okay. That's just where I'm at today. And I'm gonna learn to be okay, and tomorrow's a new day. And sometimes it's a song like Mama said there'd be days like this. Mama said there'd be days like this, right? And that's a more fun kind of uplifting, like recognizing, whoo, today's a tough day. My anxiety is getting the best of me, but one of those days we're gonna keep moving on. And so I think I have we talked about that. We create these mantras and just got a pocket full of them that I can pull out when needed. And it's just different ones at different times. Seem to
I love
resonate
that,
more.
Beth. Yeah, I love that. Sometimes you want something that's kind of spicy and telling you, let's go, girl, that kind of thing, what you were just saying. But sometimes you need a much softer, gentler one. It's just depending on. So we have so many different voices, and mantras are a great way to put them in there and get them in your life. So it's just a matter of really thinking about what you want to change, which we put a little process in the book. Identifying maybe the core fear. um, if you have anxiety, is it social anxiety? Do you feel like people are talking about you? What you're not going to be good enough? And then creating a more healthy, balanced thought in a funny way or a song. I always liked when I'm Billy Joel's Vienna, when I'm so feel like I'm doing everything he says, slow down, you crazy child. You say that always, like, I'm like, slow down, you crazy child. You can't do it all. But yeah, there's so many songs that I love. I like country. But whatever you like, there's so many great songs that you can keep as a mantra.
Yes, this is a very, very nice mantra itself that music can also heal us. And also, you talk about making mental wellness accessible. So, what does that look like beyond sticky notes?
Well, yeah, in our book, we had started writing this book 20 years ago when we were in graduate school and kind of, but then life, right? Kids and moved away, different locations. But when we came back, um, it was still kind of our initial form was a heavy kind of textbook, like your typical kind of thick self-help book. And we're like, we need to make this fun and relatable, something people can read and like just take away and be like, that was good. Like I get what they're saying. It's a simple, easy concept, and I think that resonates with people. I know when we're working with clients, the cool part of this is like you get to make this your own. What resonates with you? It's not just some formula or some statement that comes out of a book. You actually get to kind of go into your life and find the things that are meaningful to you and then kind of pull them out. So yeah, I think definitely it makes the personal pieces easy. The book is very simple and easy to read, and it's broken up into exercises. And again, we kind of, you can say, right, this is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. And within that, they have like complicated worksheets where you have the thought and the challenge. But this is simple. This is just pull out, what a saying or something that means to cue your brain into the direction you want. We talk a lot about, I talk with clients a lot. Your words, your thoughts become your truth. What truth do you want? And if you're not liking those, okay, well, let's slowly unlearn those habits and create these new healthier habits. And the cue is the mantra. It reminds us, like, oh yeah, get moving, or oh yeah, just
So
take one step forward.
Yeah, I think to your question, there's so much behind the mantras more than just the phrase. In the chapters, we go over things to do to support your mantra, right? Not just you have the cue, but then you have to think about what you're going to do. Do you need to encompass self-care? Maybe your mantra is kindness includes me or something like that. But then you need to take the steps beyond that, which we've kind of outlined in the book. A lot of activities, a lot of purposely intentionally putting joy in your life, but actually doing those things. And that's what we work on with people. Like every time you get a cup of coffee, you're going to think of something you're grateful for. We're going to focus on the gratefulness going to make you feel better. So things like that. I think beyond the book, there's so much in there that has a healthy lifestyle and all the components of mental health.
Yes, that is so, so beautiful. Mental health doesn't need to feel clinical. It can be kind, creative, or even a little quirky too. And how do we bring grounded support to people who don't connect with traditional approaches?
Well, I think this resonates with people who don't like traditional, like, right, going to sit in the office and speak with the therapist, or, it's personalized. They get to choose that. Do you want it to be spicy, gritty, sassy, country, rap? Do you want it to be, very fluffy and lots of verbiage included, or do you want something simple and straight to the point? So I think that can be helpful. And again, it doesn't require, a course or a training or a certification or years of it's something, a simple concept that can start, be the start of creating those healthier lifestyles. Like she mentioned, if we need to move, right? Movement is part of a healthy body and a healthy mind. We move our body, we move our mind. And sometimes we need that reminder, like, oh, my thoughts aren't moving. Okay, well, you got to move it, like from the Madagascar, move it. movie we sing, you gotta move it, move it. That's the cue to remind, like, right? That's a very simple, fun, personal thing. And I think that that resonates versus like, okay, you need to exercise 5 times a week
Right.
for 20 minutes. And yeah, this gives them a lot more room to create what works for them.
But if they want to create the move it, then they need to create those times that they do it, and really be intentional about living instead of, but it's more fun than just going, like Beth said, nutritionist and doctor, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do it, but when you leave the office, it goes out of your head. So maybe having some sticky notes on the around the house that integrate movement, move it, things like that.
Yes, this is so wonderful, and this is amazing conversation with you guys. Like, you have shared so much of your story, your knowledges, your experiences. It's so beautiful to have you. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you both, then what's the best way?
Sticky note mantras at gmail.com.
Or our website, you can just go to stickynotemantras.com, and we're on all social media. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. They can look us up with Sticky Note Mantras. We're there.
Yeah,
We
you're right.
put out little inspirational nuggets all month and week long.
Yeah, I think you're right. The website would be better because it has a form to contact us. So, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. Okay, I'll just use a mantra. It's okay to be not perfect. It
Definitely.
doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes, definitely. And I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and listen more from you because you both are so wonderful. And thank you for joining us and sharing so much. And to all my listeners, with Helen and Beth, we saw that healing doesn't have to be heavy, it can live on your bathroom mirror. It can sound like a mantra that reminds you you have done hard things before. You can do this too. So grab a pen, write something kind, stick it where you will see it, because the next time your brain spirals, you might just have a sticky note that saves the day.